Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when we're forced to look in the mirror, not just to see who we are, but to ask who we're becoming. For me, that moment came during a season of exhaustion, confusion, and quiet desperation. I was surrounded by noise, yet I felt completely lost. Consistency is one of those simple words that carry immense power, yet it's often overlooked in the pursuit of success. We tend to look for big breakthroughs, dramatic moments, or sudden inspirations that will change everything overnight. But the truth is, true transformation rarely happens in giant leaps. It is built step by step, day by day, through steady, persistent effort. The power of consistency lies in its ability to compound small actions into life-altering results. When we commit to showing up consistently, we are making a promise to ourselves. It's not about being perfect or doing everything flawlessly. It's about making a choice to keep going, even when the excitement fades, when the challenges arise, or when the results seem invisible. This kind of consistency breeds trust. Trust in the process and trust in our own ability to improve and grow. One of the reasons consistency is so powerful is because it creates momentum. Imagine pushing a heavy boulder up a hill. The first few steps are the hardest. You feel resistance, doubt, and fatigue. But as you keep pushing, the boulder slowly starts to move. That initial movement is key. It changes everything. Momentum builds, the work becomes easier, and the progress becomes visible. This is exactly how consistent effort works in our lives. Even the smallest step, repeated day after day, generates a forward motion that carries us closer to our goals. Consistency also helps to build habits, and habits are the foundation of success. When an action becomes habitual, it no longer requires the same level of willpower or motivation to perform. It becomes automatic, a natural part of our routine. This frees up mental energy for other important tasks and helps us maintain steady progress without burnout. Whether it's exercising, reading, journaling, or practicing a skill, the more consistent we are, the more those behaviors become ingrained in who we are. Another vital aspect of consistency is resilience. Life is unpredictable. There will be days when things don't go as planned, when motivation is at an all-time low, or when obstacles seem insurmountable. In those moments, consistency becomes a lifeline. It reminds us to keep showing up, even if it's just a small effort. Over time, these small efforts add up and carry us through difficult periods, preventing us from falling off course completely. Consistency is also a profound expression of self-respect and commitment to our own growth. It signals to ourselves that we value our goals enough to invest time and energy regularly. This regular investment creates a positive feedback loop. The more consistent we are, the more progress we see, which fuels further motivation and encourages us to keep going. It becomes a cycle of positive reinforcement that strengthens our confidence and belief in what we can achieve. In today's world, where distractions are constant and instant gratification is the norm, consistency requires discipline and intentionality. It asks us to resist the temptation of quick fixes and to trust a longer, sometimes slower process. But those who embrace consistency understand that meaningful change and lasting success are rarely instant. They come from patience, persistence, and a steady commitment to doing the work every day. When I look back on my own journey, it wasn't the moments of inspiration that defined me. It was the quiet, consistent actions taken over time. It was the habit of waking up early, reading, reflecting, and pushing through challenges, regardless of how I felt in the moment. That steady rhythm created a foundation strong enough to support bigger dreams and greater achievements. If there is one message I want to leave with you, it is this. Don't underestimate the power of consistency. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. What you need is the courage to show up day after day with the willingness to keep moving forward. Because in the end, it's the small, persistent efforts that transform our lives, shape our character, and open the door to the future we desire. Big changes in life often seem like they require big actions, dramatic shifts, sudden bursts of energy, or major events that turn everything around. But the reality is quite different. Real, lasting change usually comes from the small, consistent habits we practice every day. These small actions, when repeated over time, build upon each other and create a powerful ripple effect that transforms our lives in ways we might never have imagined. Think about the way water can slowly carve through rock. It's not the force of a single drop that makes a difference, but the steady, persistent flow of many drops over years and decades. In the same way, small habits might seem insignificant at the moment, but they gradually shape our character, our mindset, and ultimately our destiny. What makes small daily habits so effective is their simplicity and sustainability. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when thinking about huge goals or massive changes. That's why many people give up before they even start. But when you focus on tiny, manageable habits, reading just a few pages a day, taking a short walk, writing a sentence in a journal, you remove the pressure. These small habits become achievable and don't require an enormous amount of willpower. Because these habits are small, they are easier to repeat consistently. And it's consistency that fuels progress. Each day you complete a habit, you build a little more momentum. Over time, these little successes add up to significant growth. They create a foundation of discipline and confidence that supports bigger and bolder actions down the line. Another important aspect is that small habits are adaptable. Life is unpredictable and our energy and circumstances fluctuate. When habits are small, you can adjust them to fit your day. Maybe one day you have time for a full workout, but another day you just do 10 minutes. Maybe some days you write a full page in your journal and other days just a sentence. The habit stays intact because the bar is low enough to clear even when life is tough. These small habits also help rewire the brain. Neuroscience shows that repeated behaviors strengthen neural pathways. When you practice positive habits daily, you train your brain to work in new ways. Over time, your brain begins to crave those habits, making them easier and more natural. This is how transformation moves from effortful action to effortless lifestyle. The compound effect of small daily habits doesn't just apply to personal growth. It extends to every area of life. Whether it's improving your health, building relationships, learning new skills, or advancing your career, small, consistent actions lay the groundwork for big results. For example, saving a small amount of money regularly can grow into financial security. Reading a few pages daily can accumulate into a vast reservoir of knowledge. Practicing kindness in small ways can transform the quality of your relationships. It's important to recognize that change takes time and patience is part of the process. The results of small habits are often invisible in the short term, which can make it tempting to give up or switch to something new. But the secret lies in trusting the process. By committing to your small habits, even when you don't see immediate results, you allow the change to deepen beneath the surface. Eventually, the cumulative effect bursts through in the form of visible success and transformation. Reflecting on my own journey, I realized the power of small habits has been the true engine behind my growth. It wasn't any single moment of inspiration or grand gesture that changed my life, but the daily choices to invest a little time and effort in myself. Whether it was journaling, exercising, or simply waking up early, those small daily actions became the bricks that built a stronger, healthier, and more focused version of me. If you want to change your life, don't wait for a big opportunity or a perfect moment. Start with small habits that are easy to do and do them consistently. Over time, you'll be amazed at how these small seeds of change grow into a forest of success. Remember, big change doesn't require big action. It requires steady, persistent care for the little things that make up your everyday life. Discipline often gets a bad reputation. When most people hear the word, they think of restriction, sacrifice, or feeling trapped by rules and routines. But in reality, discipline is one of the most liberating forces we can cultivate. It might seem paradoxical, but discipline is freedom. It is the key that unlocks the life you want, giving you control over your choices, your time, and ultimately your destiny. Think about the opposite of discipline: chaos and impulsivity. When we live without discipline, we're often ruled by momentary desires, distractions, and external circumstances. We give away our power to whatever feels good or urgent right now. This may offer temporary pleasure or relief, but it leads to long-term frustration and missed opportunity. Without discipline, life can feel like a constant struggle, a roller coaster of emotions and regrets. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It means prioritizing your long-term goals over short-term temptations. It means creating structure in your life that supports your growth and well-being. When you develop discipline, you take ownership of your actions and decisions. You stop being a slave to fleeting impulses and start living intentional. This intentional living is where freedom comes in. Discipline gives you the power to design your life rather than letting life happen to you. It helps you build habits that align with your values and dreams, whether it's waking up early, exercising regularly, managing your finances, or studying consistently. Discipline allows you to create the conditions necessary for success and fulfillment. When you are disciplined, you don't have to rely on motivation or willpower alone, which can be unpredictable and fleeting. Instead, discipline turns your desired actions into habits, automatic behaviors that happen with less effort and resistance. This creates space and energy in your life to focus on what truly matters, freeing you from constant struggle and indecision. Freedom through discipline also means financial freedom, emotional freedom, and mental clarity. For example, managing your money with discipline enables you to save, invest, and avoid debt, giving you options and security. Practicing emotional discipline, controlling reactions, staying calm under pressure, frees you from the chaos of your emotions and strengthens your relationships. Mentally, discipline in what you consume, such as the media you watch or the thoughts you entertain, helps you maintain focus and peace of mind. Another way discipline brings freedom is by creating confidence and self-respect. When you follow through on your commitments, you build trust with yourself. You prove that you can rely on your own word and your own effort. This inner trust is empowering. It frees you from self-doubt and fear of failure. You know that no matter what challenges come your way, you have the strength to persist and overcome. It's important to recognize that discipline is not about harsh self-punishment or perfection. It's about balance and kindness toward yourself. Discipline means setting boundaries and limits that protect your time and energy. It means making choices that serve your highest good, even when they're uncomfortable. But it also means forgiving yourself when you fall short and recommitting to your path. The freedom discipline provides is not instant gratification. It's long-term satisfaction. It's the freedom to wake up each day with a sense of purpose and control. It's the freedom to pursue your goals with clarity and determination. It's the freedom to live a life that reflects your true values and aspirations, not the demands of fleeting desires or external pressures. Looking back on my own experience, I realize how discipline has been the foundation of everything I've achieved. At times, it felt difficult and restrictive, but in those moments, I was building my freedom. The more disciplined I became, the more control I had over my time, my energy, and my future. And that control has been priceless. So if you feel trapped by your habits, overwhelmed by distractions, or lost in indecision, remember this: discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is the path to it. By choosing discipline, you're choosing to take charge of your life. You're choosing to build a future where you can live on your own terms. And that is the greatest freedom of all. In a world that never stops moving, where noise and distraction are constant companions, quiet moments have become rare treasures. Yet these moments of stillness, reflection, and calm are some of the most powerful catalysts for personal growth and transformation. When we slow down and create space for quiet, we give ourselves the opportunity to connect deeply with our thoughts, feelings, and goals. It is in these silent pockets of time that true growth is nurtured. Our minds are often busy, racing from task to task, overwhelmed by constant notifications, to-do lists, and external demands. Without quiet, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. We get caught up in the hustle, reacting to every distraction and neglecting the inner work that fuels lasting change. Quiet moments, by contrast, allow us to step back, observe, and recalibrate. They provide clarity amid chaos. When we carve out time for silence, whether through meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting still, we begin to listen to ourselves. This listening is essential because growth starts with awareness. We become aware of our fears, our desires, and the stories we tell ourselves. We start to notice patterns that hold us back and opportunities waiting to be seized. Without these quiet moments, our awareness remains shallow and growth is stunted. Quiet moments also strengthen our emotional resilience. Life is full of challenges, disappointments, and stress. When we pause in stillness, we create a safe space to process our emotions rather than suppress or ignore them. This emotional processing helps us understand and manage our feelings better, reducing anxiety and increasing inner peace. With this emotional strength, we are better equipped to face difficulties and bounce back from setbacks. Moreover, quiet moments fuel creativity and problem solving. When the mind is overwhelmed with noise, it struggles to think clearly or generate new ideas. But in silence, our subconscious mind can work freely. We may find solutions to problems that seemed unsolvable or receive inspiration that changes our perspective. Many great thinkers, artists, and innovators have credited their breakthroughs to moments of quiet reflection. Another significant benefit of quiet moments is that they deepen our connection to our purpose and values. In the busyness of life, it's easy to lose sight of why we do what we do. Quiet time allows us to reconnect with our core beliefs and dreams. It reminds us of what is truly important and motivates us to align our actions accordingly. This alignment between values and actions creates a sense of fulfillment and direction. In my own experience, incorporating quiet moments into my daily routine has been transformational. It started with something as simple as 5 minutes of mindful breathing each morning. Over time, those small pockets of stillness grew into a habit of reflection and prayer that centers me before the day begins. During those moments, I gain perspective on my challenges, find renewed strength, and set clear intentions. They have become my anchor in a stormy sea. It's important to recognize that quiet moments don't have to be long or complicated. Even brief pauses throughout the day can have a profound impact on the stress response. And so, what if the question, taking a few deep breaths before a meeting, stepping outside for a moment of silence, or journaling a quick reflection can reset your mindset and prepare you for what lies ahead? The key is consistency, regularly making space for quiet amidst the noise. In today's fast-paced culture, valuing quiet might feel counterintuitive or even uncomfortable at first. We may feel restless or guilty for taking time doing nothing. But those feelings often arise because we are out of practice with stillness. Like any skill, cultivating quiet takes patience and intention. And the rewards, clarity, peace, creativity, and growth are more than worth the effort. Ultimately, quiet moments are a gift we give ourselves. They are sacred spaces where growth happens naturally, where we become more mindful, more resilient, and more aligned with who we truly are. If you want to deepen your personal development, I encourage you to seek out these moments of stillness. Create them in your daily life. Protect them fiercely, because in the silence, you will find the growth you've been searching for. Motivation is a powerful force. It's the spark that lights the fire inside us and gets us excited about a new goal, project, or change. When motivation is high, everything seems possible. We feel energized, optimistic, and ready to take on the world. But motivation is also fickle. It comes and goes like waves, often unpredictable and unreliable. That's why relying solely on motivation to achieve our goals can be dangerous and disappointing. This is where momentum becomes crucial. Momentum is different from motivation. It's not about the initial excitement or burst of energy. Momentum is about sustained progress, the forward motion that builds over time through consistent effort. When you have momentum, you don't have to rely on feeling motivated every single day. Momentum carries you forward, even on days when motivation is low or absent. Think about momentum like pushing a heavy object. At first, it takes a lot of energy and effort to get it moving. That's like motivation. Strong at the start, but once you get that object rolling, it becomes easier to keep it moving. Momentum takes over, and the force needed to maintain movement is much less. The key is to start moving, no matter how small the step. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting to feel motivated before they start working toward a goal. They wait for the perfect moment, the right mood, or a surge of inspiration. But waiting for motivation can lead to procrastination and missed opportunities. Momentum doesn't wait. It starts when you take action, no matter how imperfect or small. Momentum is built through consistent, repeated actions. It doesn't have to be huge steps. Small, manageable tasks done regularly can build powerful momentum. For example, if you want to get fit, you don't need to run a marathon on day one. A short daily walk or a few minutes of exercise can start the momentum. Over time, those small actions add up, and you begin to see progress that fuels further effort. Another advantage of momentum is the psychological effect it creates. When you see that you are making progress, even small, it builds confidence and belief in yourself. This positive feedback loop encourages you to keep going. On the other hand, relying on motivation alone means your progress is often tied to how you feel. If you wake up tired or discouraged, motivation may vanish, and so does your drive. Momentum also helps overcome obstacles and setbacks. Life will throw challenges at you, bad days, distractions, failures. When you have momentum, you have built enough forward motion to keep pushing through these difficulties. The energy you've accumulated acts like a buffer, allowing you to recover more quickly and stay on track. It's important to recognize that motivation and momentum are connected but distinct. Motivation can start the process, but momentum sustains it. Building momentum means committing to show up every day and do the work regardless of how motivated you feel. It means trusting the process and being patient with gradual progress. In my own experience, I have found momentum to be the difference between giving up and succeeding. There were times when motivation disappeared entirely, days when I doubted myself or felt overwhelmed. But because I had built momentum through consistent habits and small actions, I was able to keep moving forward. That steady progress, even when slow, eventually led to breakthroughs. If you want to harness the power of momentum, start by taking action today. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Set small goals that you can achieve daily and celebrate those wins. Over time, those small wins create momentum that propels you forward. Remember, it's not about feeling motivated every moment. It's about building a rhythm of progress that carries you through. In the journey of growth and success, momentum beats motivation every time. It is the quiet, persistent force that transforms goals from dreams into reality. So don't wait for motivation. Build momentum and let it carry you to where you want to be. The phrase, "you become what you practice," is a profound truth about the way we shape our lives, character, and destiny. It speaks to the power of repetition and the habits we cultivate daily. What we choose to focus on and the actions we repeatedly take do more than just fill our time. They mold our identity and define who we ultimately become. Every day, we make countless decisions, some small, some significant. Over time, these decisions accumulate and carve out patterns of behavior. These patterns become habits. Habits are powerful because they operate largely beneath our conscious awareness. We don't have to think about brushing our teeth or tying our shoes. These actions have become automatic through practice. The same is true for our mental and emotional habits. How we think, how we respond to stress, how we treat others. When we say, you become what you practice, we acknowledge that the repeated actions we take, whether positive or negative, shape our reality. If you practice kindness, patience, and discipline, you will develop those qualities deeply within yourself. Conversely, if you practice procrastination, negativity, or fear, those too will become ingrained, limiting your potential. Practice is like training a muscle. Just as an athlete strengthens their body through consistent workouts, our character and mind strengthen through regular practice. What you focus your energy on will grow stronger. This is why small, intentional daily actions matter so much. They build the foundation of who we are over time. This principle also highlights the importance of awareness and choice. We may not always be conscious of the habits we're developing, which means we need to be deliberate about what we practice. It's easy to slip into patterns that don't serve us, like negative self-talk or avoidance, if we're not paying attention. But once we realize that these patterns are shaping us, we gain the power to change them by consciously choosing new practices. Another aspect to consider is the influence of practice on skill and expertise. Mastery in any field, whether it's music, sports, business, or art, comes from dedicated, repeated practice. The most successful people in the world didn't become great overnight. They became great because they practiced relentlessly. The skills they honed daily became part of their identity, enabling them to perform at the highest level. This idea extends beyond just external skills. We also practice ways of thinking and being. If you practice gratitude, you start to see the world through a lens of appreciation. If you practice resilience, you become someone who can handle adversity with grace. If you practice learning, you become a lifelong student, always growing and evolving. The concept that you become what you practice also brings hope and responsibility. It means change is always possible. No matter where you are today, by changing what you practice, you can change who you become. It empowers us to take ownership of our growth and transformation. In my own life, I've seen this truth play out repeatedly. When I committed to practicing discipline, patience, and self-reflection, I found myself becoming calmer, more focused, and more resilient. These qualities didn't appear overnight. They were the result of consistent practice, often in small ways, over long periods. Similarly, I noticed that when I neglected these practices or gave in to distraction and frustration, I became less productive and less centered. This truth invites us to examine what we are practicing every day. Are your daily actions aligning with the person you want to become? Are your habits pushing you toward your dreams or pulling you away? The answer lies in honest self-reflection and a willingness to adjust your practices. You are the sum of your daily practices. What you repeat becomes ingrained in your identity. By intentionally choosing and committing to positive, growth-oriented practices, you shape a life of purpose, excellence, and fulfillment. So ask yourself, what are you practicing today? Because you become what you practice, and that person will shape your tomorrow. One of the greatest barriers to achieving our goals and living the life we want is the tendency to delay action. We convince ourselves that the right time to start is tomorrow, next week, or someday when conditions are perfect. We wait for motivation to strike, for confidence to build, or for obstacles to clear. But the truth is, waiting only prolongs the journey and often leads to missed opportunities. The most powerful step you can take toward change is to start now, not later. Starting now means embracing imperfection and uncertainty. Many people hesitate because they fear failure or feel unprepared. They want to have all the answers, a detailed plan, or the perfect set of circumstances before taking the first step. But life rarely offers perfect conditions. Waiting for everything to line up can become a way to avoid risk and stay in comfort zones. The reality is that the best way to learn and grow is by taking imperfect action, adjusting as you go, and learning from experience. When you start now, you begin building momentum. Momentum is the force that carries you forward, and it only starts moving once you take action. Even small steps count. Writing a single sentence, making a phone call, or dedicating just 5 minutes to a new habit can create a ripple effect. These small wins build confidence and open the door to bigger achievements. Starting later often means losing that precious momentum and facing the challenge of trying to restart from scratch. Starting now also means valuing time, the one resource we can never get back. Time is fleeting and unpredictable. The longer you wait, the more precious moments slip away. You cannot rewind the clock or reclaim lost days. The sooner you start, the more time you give yourself to improve, adapt, and grow. Starting later shortens your window of opportunity and can create unnecessary pressure to rush or cut corners. Another reason to start now is that growth and transformation happen in the process, not just in the outcome. When you delay starting, you delay the chance to learn, to make mistakes, and to evolve. Each step you take, even if it leads to setbacks, is a valuable part of your journey. The lessons learned from starting now are far richer than the theoretical plans made while waiting. Action reveals your strengths, uncovers hidden challenges, and shapes your path in ways that planning alone never can. Starting now fosters a mindset of empowerment and responsibility. It means you take ownership of your life and choices, instead of blaming circumstances or waiting for external factors to change. It's an act of courage and self-respect to say, I will begin today, regardless of fear or doubt. This mindset shift transforms how you approach challenges and opportunities, turning obstacles into stepping stones.